It's so much worse than what we think it is. Now, this was an interesting video that we found. So they start talking about Biden, but then they get into Trump. And it's a very, honestly, when you listen to it, it's a weird feeling, like while they're talking.
You said, what are the odds that Joe Biden has a debilitating event between now and November, including death? So he runs a 1 in 20 chance of dying in any given year or above, that I don't think you know whether he's even going to make it to November. Debilitating event could have been a debilitating public event.
I purposely left it vague, and I didn't say the other part of it, which I now feel comfortable saying, which is I don't know whether Donald Trump will be allowed to become president.
Listen.
What do you mean by that?
I think that there's a remarkable story, and we're in a funny game, which is, are we allowed to say what that story is? Because to say it, to analyze it, to name it, is to bring it into view. I think we don't understand why the censorship is behaving the way it is. We don't understand why it's in the shadows. We don't understand why our news is acting in a bizarre fashion. So let's just set the stage, given that that was in February. There is something that I think Mike Benz has just referred to as the rules-based international order. It's an interlocking series of agreements, tacit understandings, explicit understandings, clandestine understandings about how the most important structures keep the world free of war and keep markets open. And there has been a system in place, whether understood explicitly or behind the scenes or implicitly, that says that the purpose of the two American parties is to prune the field of populist candidates so that whatever two candidates exist in a face-off are both acceptable to that world order.
Whoa.
So what you're trying to do from the point of view, let's take it from the point of view of, let's say, the State Department, the intelligence community, the Defense Department, and major corporations that have to do with international issues, from arms trade to, food. They have a series of agreements that are fragile and could be overturned if a president entered the Oval Office who didn't agree with them, and the mood of the country was, why do we pay taxes into these structures? Why are we hamstrung? Why aren't we a free people?
Wow.
So what the two parties would do is that they would run primaries. You'd have populist candidates, and you'd pre-commit the populist candidates to support the candidates who won the primaries. As long as that took place and you had two candidates that were both acceptable to the international order, that is, that they aren't going to rethink NAFTA or NATO or what have you, we called that democracy. So democracy was the illusion of choice, what's called magician's choice, where the choice is not actually, pick a card, any card, but somehow the magician makes sure that the card that you pick is the one that he knows. In that situation, you have magician's choice in the primaries, and then you'd have the duopoly field two candidates, either of which was acceptable, and you could actually afford to hold an election. And the populace would vote, and that way the international order wasn't put at risk every 4 years, because you can't have alliances that are subject to the whim of the people in plebiscites. So under that structure, everything was going fine until 2016. And then the first candidate ever to not hold any position in the military nor position in government in the history of the Republic to enter the Oval Office, Donald Trump, broke through the primary structure. So then there was a full court press. Okay, we only have one candidate that's acceptable to the international order. Donald Trump will be under constant pressure that he's a loser, he's a wild man, he's an idiot, and he's under the control of the Russians. And then he was going to be a 20-1 underdog. Wow. And then he wins. And there was no precedent for this. They learned their lesson. You cannot afford to have candidates who are not acceptable to the international order and continue to have these alliances. This is an unsolved problem.
Okay. everything he said there is so true. You know how I've always told you guys that your state GOPs are corrupt? Mm-hmm. Everything he said is exactly right. Like these primaries that you hold for your whatever, the 99% of them, they already know who their person is that they really want. So everything else is futile. Everything else is this. Everything else is that. They lock up all the money. They lock up all this. The thing about that interview that was so pointed out to me was, did you hear how quiet it was? Mm-hmm. Like there was this ominous thing. It's like, very eerie. Like, look, I'm telling you, they're not going to let Donald Trump win in 2024. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I don't want to interrupt the video for too long, but I have to tell you about my friends at Birch Gold Group. Listen, we all know the economy is in shambles, and I hate to break it to you, it doesn't look like it's getting any better anytime soon. But there is something that you can do to protect your family by protecting your money. So all you got to do is text the word Graham, that's GRAHAM, to the number 989898 right now. And my friends at Birch Gold Group are going to send you a free 25-page information kit on how gold, silver, and precious metals can help protect your family by protecting your money in these uncertain times. Free information is vital information, so text the word Graham, that's GRAHAM, to 989898 right now.
So I have a question for you guys before we move on. We just talked about that abortion ban, and what we said is that, know when to pick your battles. If you were on the Trump team and he was saying that he was going to release the Epstein files, wouldn't we want, there's such a thing as self-preservation. Obviously, we know that Trump's got a bullseye on his back. They already tried to assassinate him. And I know he's a gangster, and I know he says things that, that he's going to do or whatnot, but don't you think he should kind of roll it back a little bit? Because after he's in the Oval Office and he takes hold of the country again, and he does what he wants to do, he can do whatever he wants, say whatever he wants. But until then, don't you think he should try to protect himself and not try to?
Well, to answer your question, he did do that, Tony. It's just the media, and this is how we know, and to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, this is how we know that the fake news media is in on it. Because did he actually say, yes, I will do it? No. He said, I'll certainly look at it. He never said, oh, yeah, as soon as I'm elected, the list is coming out. He never said that. He said, I will certainly look at it. But what the media does is they immediately, oh, Trump's going to release the files. Trump's going to release the files. And that's to get what that dude's just talking about, what Graham's been talking about, that's going to immediately alert that scary person in the dark to find their next patsy. Yeah.
Well, I want to show you why I believe that Donald Trump's in more danger than ever before. A bombshell from Senator Josh Hawley came out yesterday about the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Turns out that the people that were guarding him, the vast majority were not even Secret Service agents.
But Graham took a class.
They were DHS people that took a 2-hour online class. Hit play. You cannot make it up. Hit play.
That's exactly right. I'm told that actually Homeland Security agents were pulled off of child exploitation cases, child endangerment cases, the stuff they normally do. They don't normally do protective detail work at all. They were pulled off those cases, said, here, you're going to go guard the former president of the United States. Watch this webinar. Oops, it doesn't really work. Oh, that's all right. Go out into the field anyway. Jesse, this is a nightmare. And we still have no answers. The only reason we know this stuff is because of whistleblowers. It's outrageous.
That is absolutely.
Okay. Did you hear what he just said? And look, this is how serious this is. The first assassination attempt, it wasn't even Secret Service agents that were actually protecting President Trump. The vast majority were DHS agents that were child exploitation officers or agents that got pulled from that duty. Go figure. I mean, we've got 300,000 plus children missing at the border, child sex trafficking, but whatever, that doesn't matter. But either way, pulled them off and said, hey, Watch this 2-hour video on how to protect and guard a president of the United States. Also, CNN has never shown one Trump rally except for the one where Trump was shot. And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's investigating CNN about that. Roger Stone was talking about this the other day. CNN has covered one Trump rally since 2015. The one where he was shot. That's an awful big coinky-dink, don't you think? Donald Trump is in serious danger. I truly believe that Donald Trump, another attempt is going to be on his life. If you think that to be true, comment yes or no in the comment section right now. Mr. President, if you're watching, Alex, James, Taylor, Miss Susie, if any of you are watching, I am pleading with you. I am pleading that I'm pleading that I'm pleading. You have got to spend however much money it costs to protect yourself at all costs. I believe what that video said earlier. I believe that they are not going to let you win. They're going to do everything in their power, and everything else hasn't worked. And the only thing they have left is to try to do it again. And Facebook can try to censor this. YouTube can try to censor this, but they've already tried to kill the man once. Do you really think that they won't try again? Especially now that it appears that we got a Polymarket poll here. Let's go to Polymarket. Especially now that it appears that the honeymoon phase is over for Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump is starting to gain ground again. Look, he is now a 4-point favorite in election forecast in 2024. Everything that they're trying is not working. I believe that, go to the Pennsylvania poll. I believe it's right before this one. Trump is now back in favor by 4 points to win Pennsylvania. Everything is not working. And I truly believe that they are going to do everything that they can to not let Trump be the president. And I think now more than ever, we need to do everything we can to protect the president, but we also need to do everything we can to band together to make this thing too big to rig, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to do everything possible. So, Mr. President and your team, I'm begging you, please, please get better security.